What's going on, guys? Welcome to Processing the Punch. I'm Colin Segan. So today we're gonna dive into some boxing. I got some Romeo and Juliet type drama today. All right, I had to take a few days to reflect on this. For those of you that don't know this, Shakur Stevenson is one of my favorite boxers. I personally think he's gonna be the face of the boxing world. Someone like him and Devin Haney, I just feel like those two are, leaps and bounds beyond the competition. But having said that, so Shakur Stevenson and Joet Gonzalez fight over this past weekend. For those of you that don't know this, Shakur Stevenson and Joet Gonzalez's sister actually date. A lot of family drama there behind it. The Gonzalez family actually disowned, or apparently disowned, their daughter over this whole drama. Shakur fights his brother Joet, and in my opinion, it wasn't even close. And I'm gonna take a step further. I felt like after watching that fight, Shakur actually, because in the first 6 rounds, here's how this went. First 6 rounds, it was all Shakur, okay? All Shakur. In the first 2 rounds, I think Joet only landed 6 punches. I believe it's like right around 6 or 7. That is remarkable if you consider Joet's not a scrub either, okay? Joet has some status here in this fight world. So for them to go into the first 6 rounds in that dominating fashion, I think a lot of people said, I think the only round that Joet won was 7, and it was a very even round. It wasn't like Joet won, you know what I mean? It wasn't like decisive. So round 8 came in, and I think Shakur kind of retook the momentum, and I think from there, after round 8, it just seemed like it was all Shakur Stevenson from there on out, and I feel like he kind of let up a little bit. I think he actually could have probably knocked him out. Seems like in the last few rounds, he was only throwing 2 to 3 punch combos, which was interesting. And what I saw from Shakur Stevenson was not only is he an absolute, here's his personality is flawless almost. I feel like he has that charisma. He also has that badass attitude. He comes from the hood, so he has that little attitude where he's like, yo, I'm the man. He has the confidence level, but it's not arrogant, I love his attitude. And he showed he's a man. He's growing up to be just a man. That's all I got to put there. And what he did in that fight was just incredible. So I really highly recommend, go look into the story with Joet and Shakur Stevenson. Really interesting story. I call it the Romeo and Juliet story. Now, diving into the MMA world, so UFC 244, Nate Diaz is back on. He got tested for elevated levels, but it was due to a plant-based substance. So go figure. It's, one of those scenarios. Luckily, Nate Diaz doesn't listen to the authority and does his own thing. And not only did he demand them to clear his name, they cleared his name. So toodles to him. I love the fact that he just goes and does whatever he wants. And he's manifested 2 major moments in mixed martial arts, history. And he did that. And he's from the streets of Stockton. I love this. I love Nate Diaz. He's one of my favorites. And, for predictions on this fight, it's going to be an interesting fight. I feel like this one doesn't go the distance between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. I feel like if the fight ends, it's going to end either one of 2 ways, where Jorge's either going to knock Nate out or Nate's going to tap Jorge out. And when I look at those 2 scenarios, I feel like Nate Diaz has a better chance of tapping Jorge out than Jorge has a chance of knocking Nate out, right? So for that reason alone, I feel as if it's going to go in the favor of Nate Diaz. And if I had to kind of dive into it a little deeper, I feel like Nate Diaz is going to tap Jorge out within the 3rd to 4th round. I'd say 4th round. I feel like the fight's going to start out slow for Nate. Jorge may win the 1st round, and then I think rounds 2 and 3 kind of are all Nate. And then I think 4 is where Nate finishes it. So it's going to be a great fight. We're super excited for that, November 2nd. And then last but not least today, we're going to talk a little Conor McGregor. He had a press conference in Moscow, and of course in Conor McGregor fashion, he had some things to say about Dagestan. He did make an announcement that his return will be January 18th. So we're excited to see who he's going to fight. But in my opinion on this, Snap and I, we just had an argument about this the other day. I think Conor McGregor is phasing out of the face part where it comes, a lot of people think he's the face of the MMA. I think what a lot of people forget is that the MMA is literally within only 20 years old. Promotions like the UFC haven't been around that long. So naturally, I feel like in our infant stages of the sport, we're trying to figure out what the face of the sport's going to look like. And I think you'll see that change with time. And somebody like Conor McGregor, who was the face of the sport a few years ago, I feel like he's not so much anymore. Somebody like an Israel Adesanya is going to kind of start becoming the face, and I feel like Conor just took it too far. People like myself, I love Conor, I really did, but I'm turned off by him. So with that being said, this was Processing the Punch. Thanks for watching. As always, I'm Colin Segan, and stay blessed.